All right, so today we are going to be talking about fractions and whole numbers and how some whole numbers can be written as fractions. So a little bit ago you learned that the top number of a fraction is called the numerator and the bottom number of a fraction is called the denominator. All right, so the top number represents the part that's shaded normally, right? And the bottom number represents the whole. So let's look at this example over here. I am going to shade this piece and this piece and this piece and this piece. Okay, so let's talk real quick. What part is shaded? How many are shaded? Well, you've got 4 parts that are shaded, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. How many total pieces do we have in this circle? How many pieces are in the whole? Also 4. So 4 over 4 is a fraction. 4/4 is how you would say that. And 4/4 is the same thing as 1 whole. 1 whole. Because if you got 4 pieces out of the 4 pieces and they're all shaded, then that means you have 1 whole circle, right? You've got 1 whole. So what you need to remember is if the bottom number and the top number are the same, then it equals 1 whole. So let's look at this one down here. We've got 1, 2 shaded, 3 shaded. Okay, so how many do we have shaded? We just said 3 shaded. How many pieces are in the whole circle? Also 3. So 3/3 equals 1. 3/3 equals 1. So remember, if the top number and the bottom number are the same, then it equals 1. So if you had something that looked like this, 13 over 13, you could say, oh, I know, that equals 1. All right, let's do a couple more practices. Just ignore these circles. If we had 7 over 7, that equals 1. If we had 6 over 6, that equals 1. And you've seen this before because it's just the same thing as division, right? If you said, what's 10 divided by 10? You would say that's 1. What's 9 divided by 9? That's 1. What's 1,000,000 divided by 1,000,000? It's also 1. Okay, so you've seen some of these things before. Hopefully that makes sense to you. As you look at a fraction, if the numerator, the top number, and the denominator is the same, if it's the same, then the answer is just 1. Okay? All right, I just scrolled down a little bit, so hold on, let me see if I can scroll down a little bit more. All right, let's do these two at the same time. All right, so we've got this fraction. Let's do a little bit of review real quick. What if we had that shaded? What would that fraction be? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we know about our bottom number is going to be 8. There are 3 shaded, so that would be 3/8. Right? We've seen that before. Okay, what if instead of just having 3 shaded, we had them all shaded? Then that means we have 8 shaded out of 8, and another way we could write that is by saying 8 divided by 8 is 1 whole. You have 1 whole circle shaded. Okay? Now, that I think is the easy part. When the top number and the bottom number is the same, it equals 1. Now we're going to talk about if the bottom number is 1. And the top number is something else, what would the answer be? Okay, so let's look at these 3 circles down here at the bottom. Instead of splitting these up into like 4 pieces or into 3 pieces or something like that, we are just going to have 1 circle equal 1 piece. So this is not cut up into any circles, it's just 1. And this is just 1. And this is just 1. So how many pieces make up the whole? Remember, the whole goes on the bottom. How many pieces make up the whole? Well, it's just 1, right? This is a whole circle, and there's only 1 piece there. It's the whole thing. This is a whole circle, and there's just one piece there, so it's just 1. Okay, so what if we had all 3 of these shaded in? You would have 1 part, 2 parts, and 3 parts, right? So you'd have 3 shaded out of 1, right? 3 are shaded out of the whole, which is 1. So 3 over 1 equals 1, 2, 3. So 3 over 1 is the same thing as, here, let me erase this so you can see it. 3 over 1 equals 3, because it's 3 circles, right? You got 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles. So 3 over 1 equals 3. Another way that you can think of this is like thinking about division, right? 3 divided by 1 is 3. You have 3 pieces and you divide them into groups of 1, you're still going to have 3 pieces. Okay, so let's do another example. Let's say we have 4 circles and we color all 4 of them in, but one piece is 1 whole. That means we have 4 over 1, and 4 over 1 equals 4. 4 over 1 equals 4. 4 divided by 1 equals 4. So a lot of times you've seen division that looks like this, right? You say 1 goes into 4 how many times? Or what times 1 equals 4? Well, 4 times 1 equals 4, right? So this is the same thing. This is 4 divided by 1. This is 4 divided by 1. So you can think about it as a fraction, or you can think about it as, I like to call this like a little house, right? It's just the division sign. So there are lots of different ways that you can see division. You can see a division sign like this, 4 divided by 1. So you can see a divided by symbol, a little house symbol, or you can see it as a fraction. Okay, so there are lots of different ways that you can do this. Let's just do a couple practices. Let me scroll down. All right, so I'm going to write a couple practices on the board. I'm not going to tell you the answers yet. I want you to see if you can solve them. All right, we've got kind of a mix here. Let's see if you remember what the rule is. 7 over 7, or 7 sevenths, or 7 divided by 7 equals what? Hopefully you said 1. Hopefully you were thinking that, or you wrote it down, or you were just thinking about it in your head. 7 over 7, or 7 sevenths, is the same thing as 1 whole. All right, what about down here? 8 divided by 1, or 8 over 1. 8 divided by 1 equals 8. Hopefully you put that down. I want you to think of these next two. I'm going to write the answers in just a minute, so think about what these answers could be. 3 divided by 1 is 3, and 14 divided by 14 is 1. So you're going to see a mix of these questions, and we're going to just keep reviewing to make sure that you understand how some fractions are also written as whole numbers. Okay? Good luck with your homework and your review today.